Hello and welcome to our daily sketching routine. It is Wednesday, June the 18th, 2025, and today's topic will be detailing this castle right here. Before we begin, welcome back if you are returning, and welcome if you're new to the channel. I sketch and post every day and I use a timer to stay focused. I'll start a 10-minute timer. I actually did a video where I thought I was, but I didn't record it. So I went to stop the video and it started. Now I didn't do a ton, although I'll post a link to yesterday's video and I'll put up like the before picture right here. Yeah, I'll put up a before picture. So I spent an hour after yesterday's video to get this far and about 15 minutes adding to it from the previous video that I thought I was recording. Alright, with that out of the way. Yeah, I wanted to go over kind of the differences in the approach, but like how, so it's mixed medium, so it has that look to it. So basically here it was like dark to light, meaning I painted like dark colors, black for example, and then you can paint like blue and then it's the light color is going on top of like the dark color. Whereas here it's light to dark, meaning I started with the light colors. Yeah, I started going towards like the darker values. Also the technique is different. So here it's more painterly, meaning just like that's kind of an example right there where it's like the paint strokes that's causing the shapes versus here where it's like the pen strokes that kind of like light to dark or dark to light. If you're using like a pen, you're kind of going from like line to shape. It's like cross hatching the individual lines or hatching in this case. In the previous video, well, I talked about that, sort of like the difference in approaches, and then also I got to the point where I started adding these little details. So that's why it's called like detail, because now you can start to see individual things like this, like but like I always say with detail, it's like it takes time. You have to be patient with it. The other thing is just using like the different color pens. They're all kind of similar colors, so you can't go too wrong with it. But once you kind of have a color scheme, then you can keep that in mind. You can start to define the smaller shapes. And yeah, I'm using like a cross-hatching style with it. For now. But yeah, you just kind of take your time with it. And it's a mixture of reference and also just making stuff up. Like at this point, it's going away from the reference and becoming its own thing. Like there's similarities. So for example, between like this and this, so you can go over it with this is like a paint marker. Do this kind of thing. These are just like examples, like to give you some ideas. But in the detail stage, there's a lot of creativity, but it was built upon the structure of like the sketch and everything. And yeah, you just kind of have to take your time with it. Like with like these far branches, like you might not want to use the black ink because you want the contrast to be like not as much. So you might want to just use like a blue color. that kind of thing. That's what gives it detail. And then mainly you take your time because one, it is detail, and then also you don't want to overwork it. Like, it just needs some accents here and there. This kind of thing. And then you can kind of blend it if you have like a light marker. Start to fill in these colors. That's basically what I did in the previous video that I didn't record. I didn't do like a ton because between yesterday and this, that was like an hour. So most of the work was basically this. It just like, you just build it up gradually. Because I like to do it where some of the under drawing or some of the under like color is coming through without overworking it. And you just kind of experiment because it's mixed medium. So once you kind of see an effect, then you can think, okay, well, I can use this over here. Some of this going over like the acrylic paint will blend it. And then sometimes I'll go in with like a black pen, but this is like an accent. This is kind of like the highlights, but this is like maybe the core shadow, is that what it's called? But like the darkest, like dark color. So an example could be like, I wouldn't, like, let's say I want this area to be darker right here. Sometimes you can go like this, and that works. But that's definitely like detail and like fine detail. You can kind of do that. Or you could use a darker green color. But yeah, that's what takes time. You have to just take your time with it. Now adding color, of course, adds complexity. It's like another dimension. So for this area, you may not use any of these dark colors. There's also the thing of it's color, but it's also edges. So if I do this, like there's an edge to it because it's line work. Meaning you can see the lines. So for example, like the tree trunks, let's say there's some tree trunks, it won't look as contrast if you use like this color, kind of a similar color. But because of the line work, it's going to look sharper, like the edges are sharper. To get like maybe a softer like edge, you could, with a pen, you could do this right here. You could kind of blend it. So that's one way. You can go in with like a light marker color. Now, if you were to use a paint marker, I wouldn't necessarily use it on this side because it looks more the actual paint, because that's why it is paint. It's thicker. And so notice that it seems to come forward, like, because literally it's like laying on top of the paper, like thicker. So visually it looks more, has more texture to it versus like this. I want to thank you for joining me. I'm glad I'm recording it this time for our daily sketching routine, and if you enjoy these videos, please support the channel. I appreciate it, and until next time, keep on sketching.